Hi, everyone. Hi, John. Hi, Ian. Can you hear me?
Yes, morning. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Hi. We're just getting
Hello, Sam.
into our room. Hi, John. How are you?
Right, and you?
Good, thank you. No complaints.
Good morning, everybody else.
Morning.
We're getting
Hi
some
there,
people
guys. Can you hear me?
Mornings.
Morning.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Hi, Audrey.
Morning, Andre. I want to go with you, John.
Yeah.
Stand in line. Was that Butch? Stand in line.
Mornings.
Morning.
Morning. We just let in some of our members and non-members, our guests, into the room. Just so we're all aware of our Zoom etiquette, you guys, you are to mute yourselves when we do start our presentation or our discussion today, just so that we can have clarity and great audio going through the presentation that we'll be housing today on tourism operations. So we're almost through. We will start in about a minute's time. I'm sure I'll be letting some delegates in as soon as we can, and then obviously through the presentation for those who come on board.
Sam, can you guys hear me okay there? I keep losing you. We're struggling with signal out here on the Wild Coast at the moment. Is everything clear that you're hearing me?
Hi, Josh. Yes, we are hearing you. I'm sure the team can also respond. John and Ian, can you hear Josh from Wild Coast Booking?
Okay. I'll see if I can stick around through the whole.
Okay, cool.
I'm
Great.
losing a lot of your speech as you're talking, so hopefully I can stick around.
All right, no stress. Guys, we are recording the session, so there will be some notes afterwards, I'm sure. If anyone's got questions, we will be housing a question Q&A afterwards as well with the panel, and we'll open up the floor to everyone to have a chat. There is a raise the hand option. Unless you put your chat box, you can put your message through, and we can automatically ask the question if it's an imperative question on that topic of choice. So yes, all right, no stress. Okay, guys, looks like we're going to be letting people in as we go through our presentation today. So firstly, welcome to the Border-Kei Chamber of Business. We are here with a Connect with the Chamber series, which we've started with this program for about 3 weeks now. This is our 4th session today, session 4A, which is tourism operations. It's pretty much a platform where the Chamber is offering a free service back to the community. And in that, we have business connecting with business. Today, I'd like to introduce 2 great gentlemen who have certainly shown great character and strength in this time of COVID. I'd like to introduce McKay from Southern Sun, as well as Juan from XL Aloe Travel. Hi guys, how are you?
Morning, Sam. Morning, co-members. Feeling great. Looking forward to the session. Thank you.
Yeah. Morning, all. Yeah. Also looking forward to it in these trying times, but this is the technology we have to use these days to chat to everyone.
Yes, I think it's quite a challenge for the best of everyone to be involved with a Zoom session. Technology is not for everybody. So when you've got your younger generation showing you how to, log on into a Zoom session, it's quite, what's the word? It's admirable because they've moved the technology quick and fast. So, all right. So guys, just some history about this session. There's been a hot topic of late with regards to tourism, the hotel industry at large. Where are we going and what do we foresee in the near future? COVID has really put a spin on a lot of ways on how we operate and created this business unusual. So if we look at South Africa's journey currently where it's had the government whole lockdown session and things have just not been normal, there is a whole way of re-entering the mainstream of business. So businesses that have already opened, or those who are still trying to get their establishment on the go. There are protocols and expressions about this whole lockdown. So the protocols in place is where we pretty much need to be. We need to obviously abide and run through with regards to compliance. When it comes to the hospitality, Ian, what would you think, facing in the months ahead, what would you think is going to be the biggest curve for a challenge for your team?
Well, I think obviously one of the challenges we're having, which just to give a little bit of background of where we are as a company, Tsogo, and I think from a hotel perspective, is we are now slowly starting to open up, because they obviously have reduced restrictions slightly, where we can obviously take business travelers, obviously no leisure, and that from a leisure perspective, I think the original talk was only in possibly December, but I think recently they are trying to push, especially through the tourism board and also FedHasa, to try and at least look at reopening possibly in September. And obviously one of the key things I think is obviously to try and tell the international market of when we're actually going to open. You're seeing a lot where a lot of countries are slowly starting to open the international borders. But obviously currently it's more from a domestic perspective, from a business side. And what we've done as Tsogo is we're only opening up a few hotels. For example, in East London, we'll be opening up Garden Court East London on the 15th of June. But as Hemingways, we'll be still staying closed. However, what will be is like a feeder hotel. So if we have any inquiries, we'll obviously pass our business down to them. And then similar for Cape Town, Durban, and our outer-lying properties will obviously start to open up, for example, Garden Court and Tata. I think a lot of hotels are like that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, EL, ICC, and Premier Regent open on the 7th of June. And also Blue Lagoon of the main hotels, they're already open as well. But business is trickling. It's really very few, very little people traveling. So yes, it's going to be an extremely challenging time going forward.
With regards to, you mentioned downsizing, your establishment of Tsogo is really large. There should be 15 or 16 different branches or establishments, casinos, etc. And it will affect the whole establishment, so running right through to casino industry. I'm sure it's also impactful on your staff. Are you guys working on a shift element?
Currently, the way we're working at the moment, for example, a closed hotel, will basically only have one person at the hotel at any given time. So our standalone hotels, they will have someone there 24 hours a day. Prior to the curfews, they were doing 12-hour shifts, but now they've gone back to the 8-9-hour shift. But there is one person at the hotel, and obviously security. But then our hotels that are opening, yes, they'll be working very much on a skeleton staff, and possibly reduced hours. We're also looking at the restaurants. Obviously, we can only have so many people in the restaurants. Offering buffets will be a thing of the past. They are pretty much gone, because obviously the interaction with customers and too many touch points. So that's the whole thing. What we've looked at is all your different touch points of where someone interacts, is to try and alleviate that, put in the necessary protocols. I must say the operations manuals and the procedures that we have been sent, obviously I'm kept in the loop, but we're not opening yet, but it is extremely extensive. So I mean, any customers that are coming here, we can definitely assure them that all training is being done with all employees, and also all the necessary measures according to all the regulations. There is also, I mean, if anyone does want it, there's quite an extensive document that has been done by the tourism board and also FedHasa, which assists hotels if they want to open. It gives them a whole indication of all the things that need to be done. And obviously, that's also we help them in conjunction with that. Going back to the casino and entertainment side, I think that is even worse hit than tourism. I don't know if any of you saw our CEO, Krista Toy, and Ravi Nadesan from the hotel side were on the ENCN news, and they've made many proposals to government to say, look, casinos are ready to open. And my personal opinion, we can social distance and control people in a casino much more than you can in a shopping mall. There's take, for example, if you look at a casino, taking away certain chairs, only allowing members of your loyalty program to come in. So the controls, I mean, there are serious controls already in any casino. From a surveillance perspective, I mean, all those can be put in place. But obviously, I'm not saying it's falling on deaf ears, but it is a very challenging time from a casino and entertainment point of view, because they seem to be right at the bottom, possibly level 1 that they may be opening. And obviously, I mean, we as companies are trying to lobby that they should start looking at reopening more sectors and more travel and so forth. Because I'm sure all of you, because you're all from the tourism industry, it's definitely one of the hardest hit. Where, I mean, as you say, we've got over 110 hotels now. And I think just in our region, we've got 2 opening in there's 2 or 3 opening in Cape Town, 1 in each city centre, so Port Elizabeth. So, I mean, and for East London, only one of our hotels will be operating. So it is really trying to manage those costs, and obviously what small amount of business that is out there is what we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the protocols in place for both entities, hotel or casino, is going to be strict regardless. I mean, there was chatter about the AR chips, which is your American roulette chips, how to process that forward as well. That could be quite a challenge on going like streamless, where there is no such thing as touching a chip anymore on a roulette table. But yeah, if we look at you mentioned that it's very much business, back to business with regards to business people coming in and staying. It must affect Juan's industry quite tremendously as well when it comes to business travelers and where they connect with flights through to different areas, different countries across the world, and they stay at a hotel or wherever. But Juan, talk a little bit about the outbound travel, what your experiences have been there.
Well, at the moment, thank you, Sam. At the moment, there is nothing. The only thing that's happening with outbound travel is the reverse of repatriation flights. And we're not expecting that to change in the near future. There's various predictions that are coming through that are on the table. The airlines are actually loading flights on their GDSs, the mechanism with which we communicate with the airlines. They're loading flights there, trying to drive the market, I think, trying to drive the agenda with governments around the world and take control of it. But we can't see much happening in the short term. That is all driven by confidence. It's all driven by confidence in the controls in that environment, confidence in the controls in that particular country that we're going through to. So nothing in the short term going out and coming in. Interestingly, government, together with the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, were talking as early as the 4th of September that they were talking, look, this is only going to happen next year. Thanks to TBCSA, they seem to be accepting that there's an urgency to this, and they're re-looking at those dates. So we're all listening, looking to see what the latest predictions and projections are going to be. Business travel, if I may continue, and to pick up where Ian was going, business travel has changed. The legacy business traveler that we might have got to know and experience it ourselves, well, you're looking at the new norm of business travel. It's called Zoom. Many businesses are going to settle into using this as their form of travel, cutting costs, making them more efficient, quicker to make decisions without waiting for boards to get together, sit around a table. They'll be using technology a lot more. And all of that does serve to put pressure onto the legacy form of how we are operating. But see that against human nature. We're all creatures of habit, and we are social creatures. So over the medium to longer term, I'm confident that the need will arise to go back to those one-to-ones and boardroom-style meetings, and which will then drive business travel.
That's very interesting that you say that. I mean, like I mentioned earlier with regards to Zoom, it's knowing the technology and how to operate. So Zoom's one of the platforms, and there are so many that everyone's trying to get a grasp on. We had the virtual expo kickoff today, which now has been postponed to the end of July. We were playing around in the virtual room, and it's actually really awesome to see how the avatar system works and interacting, and you can hear the voice notes of everyone. So that was really good and insightful, you know, but then obviously the app, there's been some gremlins in the system. So as per, like you said, even though a business trying to interact with business, there could be like a whole different ball game or spin on an app that's got a gremlin technical issue. So it seemed to work really well. It was working well until everyone postponed it. You know, Andrew Binning, he cancelled, he postponed till the end of July. But it was really nice to see. So a lot of people, there were over 270 people who had visited the floor already by 9 o'clock this morning. So that was good, good interaction. With regards to your travel, John, I think a lot of people are scared to take travel, knowing the, you know, the circumstances of what's happening in our world. And it's a world pandemic, it's not just a local. But having that protocol in place, there must be, you know, obviously a lot of business travelers who are still continuing to fly, having, you know, being mindful of the fact of their protocols, their space requirements, etc. So yeah, I think that's also a very big thing, guys. We all need to practice being practical here. Compliance is an issue. We need to make sure every company is compliant. But your protocols are what makes you stronger. And business with COVID is just going to move forward. So do you think, guys, you know, speaking on a loose term here, do you think it would be a COVID standard? So after COVID, when the last case is reported, tourism, the hotel industries, all our businesses go back to normal? Or do you think it's going to be a permanent normal? We would all just continue with face masks and precautions and protocols, etc. Do you think your industries will run it as a permanent place?
I can come in there, Sam. The feeling I'm getting is that we're making this up as we go along. The whole world community is making this up as we go along. We're putting in the best case scenario protections, not understanding exactly how these things are developing and happening, but we're doing the best as a world community to, you know, to put these controls in place. Will it return to where it was before? No. It's going to definitely change post 9/11 as we saw those changes come along. I was reading up on what's happening internationally with flights around the controls they're putting in airports, for example. And they're talking about onerous things such as sanitization tunnels. So when you walk in, you actually, your whole body and all your clothing gets sanitized. Your luggage will get sanitized. They're talking about not having hand luggage on the airplanes, reducing, as Ian spoke about, touch points, reducing touch points as far as we go, only using pre-check-ins. So there's some drastic models that they're putting on the table. That translates to discomfort in your experience, discomfort in check-in, discomfort in longer waiting for the airplane to be turned around because they'll have to be sanitized as well. So all these measures are being trialed, are being predicted, projected, and it will stabilize over time, I think driven by practice, best practice as we go along. And then there was another interesting thing which I read as well. Some of the airlines are introducing what they're calling customer service agents. So, for example, every 45 minutes, every single toilet in that airplane will be cleaned totally, you know, top to bottom. You didn't see that too often on some of the carriers. I know some of them were very good. The Gulf carriers were very, very good. But they've all stepped up the game in this regard. So we're going to see some significant changes in that area. Put everybody in mind at rest. Our airlines, the airplanes themselves, that air is scrubbed every 4 minutes. And it is with these very fine particulate cleaners, and they'll say that within every 4 minutes, 99.97% of viruses are scrubbed out of that air. And they say that it's cleaner than most confined spaces that you'd find, you know, in everyday living.
That's very, very interesting, actually.
Just to add something, I think it's making the reassurance that the public, when they come visit various, whether it's an establishment, an airline, travel, or anything, to assure them that the necessary steps have been put in place. And I mean, just to add a few of the things, obviously, yes, we're going to have masks in place, but as a customer checks in, there's questionnaires he needs to complete. Also recorded of what his temperature is whenever he enters the property. I mean, simple little things like you're not going to get 2 coffee supplies in your room anymore. They're going to be handed to you at reception. Anything that is really, there'll be no magazines, no newspapers. We're taking pens, paper out of the rooms. It's so sparse that it's unfortunate the industry we're in, where we try and create experiences, it's going to be a different type of experience, and that's what we're not too sure yet. My ops director, I mean, he's been in the industry for many, many years, and he said the tourism industry of what it used to be, or hotels, especially specifically hotels, is not going to be the same ever. It's not what it was. Yeah, you're not going to have that huge interaction. I mean, and that's the thing we thrive ourselves on, is that interaction and giving people the great service and making a great experience. It's more going to be maybe start with until, you know, a cure or something is found. I mean, this virus is going to be around, in my personal opinion. It's going to be added to all the other things that we can get. So it's not going to go away. So, I mean, it's those sort of things. And like if we have a twin room, only one of the beds is going to be made up. So it's all those little things that to assure people that, you know, places are at the highest standard and level, to reassure that, you know, their experience is going to, and they're going to be looked after.
Yes, I agree with you, actually. I mean, it doesn't just go for the hotel industry or, you know, for flights. I see Charmaine Bay online as well, part of airports. But with regards to all of us online, I think will affect us some way, somehow, whether we go stay at a B&B or a hotel. It could be school tours, you know, for schools to be out and about. You won't have that anymore. And that's very interesting how everything is going digital. Ian, you mentioned no magazines, no newspapers. That's something we're all so used to having as a hard copy, and things are just going virtual. Everything's online. So to have that access, we're going to have strong systems in place with regards to internet and, you know, fiber, especially that's coming. But yeah, I think that's also something that affects every one of us. Every one of us on this call is going to have a certain protocol in place that's going to have to justify what they do to get business back. You've got, it's a Arena Resorts, you've got Oliverwood Estate. Their whole practice as well is also getting the clients through the doors, but it's also a stay. You've got to make sure your protocols in place. So yeah, it's scary that it's only kicking in so late. I mean, this virus has really taken a lot of time out of business in general. So yeah, cool.
I think, Sam, just if I can change tack a little bit here, you know, we've heard, we're discussing the bad news of where we are as a moment, as a city, as a province, as a country, as a world. But I think, you know, in times of disruption like this, it's the people who can look ahead, take bold decisions, who actually come out stronger. And I think as business owners, I'm speaking to all of us around the table here, and as a country, if we can adapt to this thing quicker, and we can see what the market is looking to do, we will come out stronger. And going for us, as far as tourism, you know, we've been talking a long time in the tourism industry about experiential tourism, which reduces your touch points, which reduces your people contact points, reduces your people numbers, which gives people confidence to actually travel. And I think as a country and as a province, that's what we should be looking at. Culture-rich, deep diving experiences that we can offer something different that is away off the beaten track until the dust settles. I was reading recently, South Africa was voted the top destination post-COVID to go and travel to. We beat out New Zealand. We beat out, I think the other one might have been New Guinea or Fiji, and there was a third, Namibia. So if you look at those types of destinations that were winning as tourist destinations, they were more sparsely set, fewer people, but with a rich culture to experience. And that's the message I think we should all be taking on board. Making it a strong cultural experience with not too many touch points and more diverse offerings.
That's very nice, John. Thanks. Very good. Thumbs up from Charmaine. Guys, maybe what we could do is, if we would like to unmute yourselves, there's a lot of team players on here, business associates on here. If you'd like to unmute and just interact with our guest speakers today, we can then have a semi-formal chat.
Yeah, hi, this is Josh from Wild Coast Bookings, and I think, Juan, just to touch on what you said there, I completely agree with you. And funnily enough, before this sort of COVID scenario hit us all, this project that I've got going here, I started in September last year, and we very much focused on experiential travel. That's exactly what our line of sight is, and we're looking at trying to boost tourism purely, you know, in the Buffalo City and of course the Wild Coast area. And the biggest challenges for us were to break down those stigmas attached to, you know, Wild Coast, Transky, dangerous. And the mediation point we play in that is we're not really an online booking service, but we do provide a third-party kind of provider service where somebody would approach us. We're the specialist in the area, and through our questions that they would just answer through our online kind of application, is they would tick all the activities they'd like to experience, from horse riding on the beach to a cultural village experience. And so the list would go on, because there's obviously quite a lot of diverse activities. And then based on what their budget, their previous experience along the Wild Coast, whether they've been before or never before, the type of vehicle they have, how long they want to go, how many destinations. And we really curate this very, very specific customized itinerary so that we have the best possible opportunity to give somebody the best possible experience they can have, so that when they leave here, you know, they're getting exactly what they wanted. And our big focus is very much on the domestic market. And I think now that is the reality. We're going to see a lot of domestic travel, I think, where people are just going to be chomping at the bit to get out of their houses and get their families out of the city for a while. So I think from a domestic travel point of view, as soon as the gates do open, I think we might see a very, very rapid positive upturn in local travel. But how many people can afford to do that now? And of course, what the dynamic will change for those seasonal periods over December. I'm pretty sure they'll shorten those December school holidays to make up for lost time. So I think as much as the rest of this year is probably a fair to say a bit of a write-off, I think if some of us who are positive and have figured out where we can position ourselves, I think we can still make the best of the scenarios we possibly can and try and give some domestic travelers the best possible experience they can have. So that was just a sentiment I wanted to add on the back of what you've just shared there.
Josh, if I can come in there and to add to what you're saying, I think what the world has learned is that due to the failings of the services provided by the airlines in particular, and the ground handlers on the other side, people are now looking for certainty. They're looking for somebody on the other side who's going to hold their hand if the pawpaw hits the fan. They're looking for contracts that are enforceable in their home destination, in their home countries. For example, if I contracted in South Africa to travel to Malawi, to Maldives, to Thailand, I want to make sure that my contract and my money is enforceable in this country, that I will get my money back. And then I'm also looking to make sure that when I do travel, or put it differently, when people do travel domestically in South Africa, we have a ground handler who's going to hold my hand should something go wrong. So that they're looking for that assurance in contract. They're looking for that assurance that on the other side that they'll be taken care of and that they won't be dropped. And then just to add on tourism going forward, yes, I think in the short term, people are going to be dipping their toes in the South African market, which is great for our economy. Medium term to long term, we all know that Mauritius is COVID free, and it's a favorite destination of all South Africans. Funny enough, yeah, it's a fabulous destination offering great value. And we're seeing a great uptake in the marketing, or upswing in the marketing from the Mauritian tour providers. And I'm predicting Mauritius and Zanzibar will really be, outside of South Africa, the next big destination that we will be experiencing for a number of reasons. One, it's safe. Number two, it's a 4-hour flight. And number three, it's known to us. You know, as the domestic South African traveler, we know those places. It's safe. It's a great destination to go to.
Just a quick question there, Juan. I obviously haven't been watching anything about Zanzibar. Do you have any idea how badly they've been affected by this? In terms of actual infection rate or anything like that, have you got any idea? I haven't even looked at it.
No, I can't comment, no.
Okay, all right.
Josh, I'm sure we can try and get you some feedback though. We could look up, you know, and get your feedback, and I'll drop you a line or give you a call. Anyone else with some questions? Invite to?
Same, yeah, Butcher from BNI. One hat, and the other hat is the video production side of it. But yeah, just chatting. I mean, interesting to listen to the guys talk about and what's happening, and obviously how this virus has affected all of us. But I sort of see a bit of a glass half full scenario, and yeah, we must probably going to work with a hybrid solution in the meantime. Until I think a vaccine is found and we all get this herd immunity that the medical fraternity is talking about. So I see us somewhere down the line definitely returning to a more of a normal that for now, unfortunately, we've got to sit with this. So there'll be a bit of a hybrid with Zoom and face-to-face meeting, especially in the business environment. If I look at BNI, has onboarded 300,000 members worldwide in 70 countries. Within 2 weeks, the whole organization has moved online, and the people still carried on with their networks and doing business. And up to now, I was on a what they call a town hall webinar last week. Worldwide, BNI members have generated $6 billion from start of lockdown to now. So, and the and people have started joining as well. So it's a different ball game out there for us all to work with. And I definitely, yes, we got to do things differently for a while. But I also think that, you know, we had a massive pandemic in the 1918, and somehow we sort of, the human race survived that one, and I'm definitely sure we're going to survive this one, and we'll get out of it. And as I think Ian mentioned as well, as soon as there's a cure, a vaccine found, and we get a bit more immunity with the herd, what they talk about, the herd immunity syndrome, then I think we'll be okay again. You know, definitely. It's my 5 cents.
I think, yeah. Just to add to what Butch said, I think you're correct if you refer back to previous pandemics, and also I do remember the 9/11 unfortunate where all air travel was stopped for a certain period, and at that point I was actually in the UK, and we had so many requests for video conferencing at that point because it was we didn't have Zoom in those days, but it only lasted for like 2 to 3 months. Obviously this is slightly more serious but it did last for that period where people did not want to travel on airplanes because of the risks that then, but it sort of whittled away and came back. So yes, I'm with all of you, really am hoping that at some point we'll get back to some sort of normality, but how long that's going to be, some are saying maybe 2022 to get through it, but I think yes, it's going to be very trying, definitely till the end of this year. As Josh said, I think we can write off this year and just get what we can and survive, and then start getting back into a little bit of normality in 2021, and then pull ourselves through 2022 and push. Because I mean, South Africa is a wonderful destination. I mean, I'll always refer back to it was one of the best marketing campaigns that our tourism department did, a world in one country, because we have it. We've got everything in one country. You don't need to leave. We've got the Mauritius here. We've got the Zanzibar. We've got the garden route. I mean, we've got anything that you want to do. It is in this country. We've got game parks, which are now open, so you can go and do it. I mean, and even my wife is saying to me, she's getting itchy feet. Where are we going to go away for a weekend? We've got to go somewhere. Yeah. So yes, the domestic market, I think, will definitely is where we're going to have to try and get out and restructure how we package things. So yeah, no, I'm always an optimist, and I really am positive that I think we'll pull through it. It's going to be tough, but we will pull through it.
I think the inclusion of everybody has, with that is going to be key. We're all here to help each other some way, somehow. Even with referrals, like Butch mentioned, there's so many people that we can connect with, and it's how we package ourselves in our business to get more footprint in. So, well said, Ian. Well said.
Butch, I can actually mention that I was a part of the ReferNet BNI meeting this past Tuesday morning as we are becoming a new member, and to see how that process kind of played out, it was incredibly slick. I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to quite run, but it was very impressive, and yeah, it's an exciting prospect to be involved with. So well done to you guys. Hats off there.
Oh, awesome. I think our head office needs to take all the accolades there, and they've been really working hard on it. And yeah, the amount of Zoom, I'm a little bit zoomed out, I must tell you, but it is a nice way to connect with people. We've got 14 groups here in the Eastern Cape, and the guys are just doing, they're doing their thing. And yeah, as Sam also mentioned at the virtual expo, I was looking quite forward to that, Sam, but I couldn't get in, so I didn't have any experience that you had. But it's a great way, and there I think they were overwhelmed because Andrew Benning from Nkanyezi put this thing together, and I think they had 260 exhibitors. Am I right? 260. It's amazing. So people are sort of adopting the new technology, coming on board. I've even moved my Rotary Club, believe it or not, and I'm sitting with 80-year-olds there. I've moved them onto Zoom. It's quite an experience, but it's been fun, in a way. Yes, we obviously, as Juan also said, we are social creatures, and we want to connect with each other, and we want to handshake, and we want to hug, and we want to do all of those things, have a cup of coffee. And it's going to come back. It will come back, definitely. But for now, we just got to bite the bullet. We'll get through it.
Which, if I can add to that, I think the offering that BNI has put on the table, particularly under your leadership, Dania, has been phenomenal. I'm doing 3 meetings a week. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 o'clock, I'm Zooming. And by Saturday morning, I am tired. But the point being, I made the decision consciously to interact with as many members as possible. And that's what we should all be doing at these times. Make sure we're out there spreading the positivity, make sure that we are relevant all the time. And the BNI platform, as well as what you're doing, Sam, with this platform, is very, very good. It allows us to put the good news out there. It allows us to say it's going to come back to normal. And as long as we drive that agenda, well, it should come back to normal.
It should. That's just a new way of thinking. Border-Kei Chamber of Business is all for its members, and we're looking at community members who are not members. It's an involvement with everyone that we can possibly connect with. So as mentioned earlier, inclusion is going to be key for the way forward for us. Border-Kei is very much out there to communicate and give information, to show benefit back. Often was asked when joining Border-Kei, so what's the benefit for me? So to me, if I get asked that question, I want to see something back in return. So if my members are my forte, I'm going to live and die for my members. So yeah, definitely going to process forward.
If I can maybe just add there as well, I think the sentiment with regard to the domestic travel, that's going to be essential. And I think even if when the research was done with regard to the tourism for Buffalo City and for our area, it's been clear that domestic market is going to be, is currently East London's target market. And I think now with the world being to a certain degree off limits, this is actually East London's opportunity to actually push that, because we have got vast open spaces, it's not crammed, it's not crowded, and the risk for infections, okay, well, I'm saying that, but then I'm also realizing that we are one of the highest infection rates. But I mean, when it comes to, the potential for the domestic market, I think that is where we can make it happen. So that should be our focus, so that we can get those domestic people who would have gone overseas, that they come and spend their money here.
Good idea.
Can I ask Ian, Ian, what are you guys doing in terms of your sort of rate structure now? Do you have a plan in place to try and look at you know, more of a volume sort of strategy now and lay back on the rates a little bit to try and increase occupancy in the hotel? Of course, I think I'm talking September and beyond here, for the balance, you know, for the next 6 months, for example, because I'm interested to find out what those sort of, I know everyone will probably be different, but those kinds of pricing strategy, you know, those kinds of conversations. And I know it's a tough one because your bottom line's your bottom line and your costs are your costs. But is that something that you guys are looking at?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I think it's already in place. I mean, if you go now and you look and try and book one of our properties, you will see our rates are dramatically dropped. And that's obviously, we've structured it through our different brands, but obviously you can buy through different, but the difference between a 3-star and a 4-star these days is only going to be about 100, 200 rand. Because I mean, really, I mean, it's, yes, you're getting a bit of, you're not getting all the luxuries that you possibly will be getting in the past. And obviously we need to show that value. And that's the next thing that we'll obviously be looking at. But yeah, now our rates have been dropped dramatically. We'll obviously assess it month on month as we go along. I think for December, I think we're really just looking, as we said, month by month. We're not too sure what's going to be happening in December. We're hoping by December, maybe a little bit of normality or something might have come back in. But the challenge, I think, especially for Cape Town, is it did rely on a lot on international market. But but as you said, domestically, we don't get a lot of international customers coming to our area. If we take East London and a bit for the Wild Coast, but I think it is a lot of domestic. And we've already, as I said, our rates have already been reduced quite dramatically, just to at least get what business, because we know companies are struggling also. So if you have to travel, we want to make it affordable and comfortable for you.
With the scenario with kind of buffet styled meals and that kind of thing, are your hotels geared to just switch over to an a la carte kind of offering for guests? And is that something you'll then obviously offer at, you know, 3 sort of meal times a day?
Yeah, currently what we've put in place is that, as I said, our buffets are closed. We currently obviously limit the number of people that are allowed in the restaurant. So obviously that does help us, because if you've got a 120-seater restaurant, you're not going to allow more than 50 people in it. That's the sort of thing we put in place. Whereas Hemingway's, it's a much smaller restaurant. We're making sure that the tables are 2 meters apart, and also offering, it's a little bit like the cruise liners. When you check in, we want to know what you're doing. Are you coming down for breakfast in the restaurant, or are you coming for dinner, or do you want to take away? Or we know what you're doing, and if it need be, there will be 2 seating times. So you can come at 6 o'clock in the evening or 8 o'clock. Those are your 2 options. So that's the thing. And taking things away for now, only thing that will be on the table, for example, is going to be a salt and pepper cruet. That's it. No flowers, no luxury items in that. So, and obviously things will be sanitized as each individual comes through. And then going the route of for breakfast, I think quite a few will go with the option of prepackaged item, but
continental or in-room breakfast or something. Yeah.
So that, from that aspect, unfortunately, you can't have a glass of wine with your dinner at the moment, because we're not allowed to serve alcohol, because obviously the laws state that it's only for home consumption and you're not at home. So you can, we have a great range of soft drinks available. Yeah, those things, I think they are obviously, as we go down the different levels, those things will hopefully start to change. But yeah, some of our hotels are going to be a bit of a challenge. I know previously I was at Garden Court East London. They are going to struggle a bit from an a la carte perspective, but I think with time they'll just get through it. They'll get used to it. And, well, you know, we adapt in our industry, and find ways of improving and making it as seamless as possible. But I think people are starting to become a bit more patient. I mean, when you're going into anywhere, you basically nearly queue pretty much wherever you go. I've had in the past at Hemingway's, I've queued to get in the mall, and I've queued to get in Checkers, and then I queued to pay. So our whole experience just to go and buy 10 items can take you an hour now. So those are sort of things that I think people are becoming patient and will understand that from a hospitality perspective.
Right.
Then if I may ask you a question, you speak about these queues and people's patience around that. Airlines are trying to push for online check-in for obvious reasons as much as possible. They can own the passenger, they can own the check-in process, they can predict when and where things are going to happen. Do you see a similar thing happening within your group, reducing that front desk interaction and smoothing that process and the pain of standing in the queue with your laptop around your neck and busting to go to the gents and whatever you go on? Do you see that coming through in your group anytime soon?
I think that they're definitely researching it. If you look at some of the large groups in America, I have heard that a lot are now, and they have the capabilities that you can check in online now on your phone, and your room key is your phone. So you take your room, so that you don't actually have to come to the front desk, as long as the payment process and everything is in there. So basically, you just get your check-in like you do, and then you just take your phone, and your phone will open up the room door. Obviously, for us from a hospitality, I mean, that is obviously quite a huge outlay of capital expenditure, which unfortunately, with not operating any hotels for the past couple of months, the expense of putting some of those in place. The bigger groups, for example, I think it's more not Marriott, but some of the other international groups, which Hilton, I think, is one that have that option, that you don't have to interact with the front desk. But it's definitely something we'll be looking at.
Smart technology, guys. Definitely adaptation and sustainability going forward is our talk today. Anyone else got any queries I'd like to raise?
Sam, just before I don't get a chance again, I just want to say thank you for this forum that you guys have put up. It's really nice to get this information straight from the proverbial horse's mouth as what's going on, because I tell you, there's so much fake news going on there. I just got a clip this morning of these massive storms in Cape Town washing over cars and what have you, and it was from 2017, you know, so it's like, I don't know why anybody get a kick out of that, but anyway, so it's really nice to hear from the guys that's working in that specific industry what's actually happening in that specific industry. And that I know that is something that I can take and share forward with people that I come in contact with and saying, no, that's not the case. This is what's happening. And I think that's so important today because there's so much of this nonsense going on at the same time. So yeah, just thank you for the forum that you guys have created to do this. Awesome. Keep it up. Thank you.
No problem. Guys, I mean, this forum is there for information purposes. Disclaimers and everything, you know, we try and give best information, best practice, and the correct information where possible. And then experts take off certain questions offline. So in that aspect, you know, it's good information sharing. Everybody needs to know or be updated. So yeah, the Connect with the Chamber series runs every Thursday, 11:30. We do look for guest speakers. So if any of you would like to slot yourselves in, we do like to have a wide variety of presenters out there, just like Juan has done and Ian today. We really appreciate their time. You know, this has been a really insightful session, a great interactive session, and it's been really, really well received. So thank you guys, that was really great.
Sam, I just want to thank everyone as well from our side. Hi everyone, my name is Audrey. I'm from Border-Kei Chamber in Queenstown. So we've got quite a few of the BMBs that have opened for essential staff members, because we've got quite a few people still traveling in or through Queenstown. So Queenstown has been a bit busier than some of the other surrounding towns, which, you know, is quite helpful. But there's also been a lot of people that unfortunately had to lay off staff just to make ends meet. And they've tried as much as possible to adhere or to try and to be compliant with what needs to be done in terms of keeping themselves safe, and then the client safe as well. But you do find some of the B&Bs opening up just for the sake of opening up. And then unfortunately SAPS had to intervene to close them down. And I am concerned, you know, it is affecting everyone, because it's not just a matter of, yes, you need to operate, it's also a safety issue. And then how do you operate, you know, how are you going to clean, how are you going to make sure that your place is sanitized, how are you keeping your staff safe if you're just opening for the sake of opening. So I've learned quite a lot here today. So thank you. I'll be able to take that back to quite a few of them. So I just wanted to thank you guys for the opportunity and to listen to your insights.
Great. Just a note on Audrey's set. She's got Jody Naidu speaking this afternoon at 3 o'clock on tourism grant system. So there's a particular interest there as well, where Jody will be expressing what grants are available. And that will also be quite interactive, I'm sure. So that's at 3 o'clock today. If anybody, I'm sure I've actually sent everyone the link, but if you're not, let me know and I'll send it to you on email. All right. All right, guys, I think
thanks, Sam, for everything. It was really great to see all you guys as well. Unfortunately, I need to make a shoot now. So really, really nice to chat to you guys. Juan and Ian, thank you so much for all the information. And Sam for putting this together. I look forward to seeing you all next Thursday.
No problem. 100%. Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
All right. So have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you at 3 if you're able to connect. Thank you for joining. Connect with the Chamber series. You've just listened to the tourism and operations set today, hosted by John Betzer as well as Ian McKay. Thank you very much for your time, and yeah, have a great Thursday. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye now.